If you were trying to develop a zombie while trapped in a bunker with an obsessed undead superfan, what would you do? The only thing dumber than these survivors are the zombies they're being hunted by. Well, not really. One of these zombies is like Sam Fisher. So, if we're gonna have any chance at jump-starting human civilization again, we're gonna need to scrounge together every single brain cell at this camp. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the undead stalker in Day of the Dead Bloodline. Deep in the bowels of a medical school morgue, a group of epidemiology students evaluate the ripe, distended corpse of the gluttony victim from 7. One of our people, resident nerd Zoe, is the only one of the group to correctly diagnose that he died from influenza. By observing the pustules present at the back of his still moist, dead throat. But she's embarrassed to learn she guessed the wrong strain. If only she knew just how wrong. Still, she's the best in her class, which means she gets rewarded with additional work, whether she likes it or not. Her professor tells her her regular donor has arrived to have his blood drawn. When Zoe asks her to find another student to do it, Teach reminds her he's some sort of medical marvel with 100 times the antibodies of your normal mouth breather. It's too good an academic opportunity to give to anyone else. So is studying the Tiger King for whatever genetic abnormalities tiger shit and paint fumes cause. But it doesn't mean she has to do it alone. Go with her if it's such a great opportunity. Better yet, call a friend to be there with you. Downstairs in an exam room, we meet Max. When she asks him to roll up his shirt sleeve, nothing says true love like blood calligraphy. Check out the penmanship on that thing. Before anything can happen, her classmate arrives to drag her to a party. Too bad this medical school party is so lame, it looks like it's taking place in a church basement. A guy asks for help, fetching another keg from the morgue. Because where else do you keep a thing that needs to be chilled? Zoe leaps at the opportunity to leave. The morgue already looks post-apocalyptic. She grabs the second keg when Max enters the room, blocking the only exit, mumbling declarations of her destined love. This isn't gonna be good. There's no way to sugarcoat this. Zoe is in a dangerous position, and not because zombies are about to erupt from this morgue like rats leaving a plague ship. It's because she has no way of knowing whether he intends to kill her or not. 39% of violence and 80% of are committed by someone the victim knows. Since there aren't a bunch of dead laying around everywhere, we can assume most of those attackers don't kill their victims afterward. So that's good news. Max is so obsessed with Zoe, he probably wants to keep her alive, but only if she doesn't react in a way he doesn't like. Fighting back could escalate things, turning this into a murder. It's why all those terrible, antiquated school assembly messages warning women about doing anything alone are about how to avoid being in a dangerous situation, or how to recover after it's happened to you. It's a personal choice here whether to fight, but since I definitely would, defeating this human monster comes down to either straight up deleting him from the human experience altogether, or incapacitating him long enough to escape. We have sharp nails for clawing, sharp teeth for biting, and hard shins for his... When Max licks our face, he's close enough to latch onto his cheek, lip, or tongue with our teeth and tear. In this moment of panic and distraction, kick up into his groin and dig your fingers into his eye sockets. Unless we're in Don't Breathe, most blind guys can't kill, kick, bite, gouge, then shove him off and away and run. Zoe does nothing, but is saved at the last moment by a surprise third player. She races back to the party and screams that they need to get out of the building, right before her professor appears out of nowhere, sporting a huge bite mark on her cheek. If Dr. Zombie hadn't been there, I might have amended Zoe's recommendation about running to one where we close and barricade the doors. As is, the professor tucks into a colleague and bedlam erupts. More zombies pour in and begin converting and/or cannibalizing everyone within sight. Zoe gets a window unlocked and climbs out. She reaches back for her friend, but she's taken down like a chicken wing at a competitive eating competition. And we learn the most immediate important fact of all. This virus hits like a Mack truck and transforms people into zombies, rotters, in less than 10 seconds flat. That means we're playing by 28-day later rules and machete chopping anyone anyone we even suspect of being bitten. We cut forward in time. Zoe tells us she made it to a refugee camp at some point after the initial outbreak and was assigned to a military bunker to collect scientific data on rotters, which, no, she didn't. In all likelihood, with a 10-second transmission rate, the only people surviving this zombie apocalypse are those who were already outside the population centers or locked inside residences with supplies or weapons. She tells us they haven't heard from HQ in a year. Not surprising when we meet the crack team of weekend latrine duty military soldiers we find out survived the outbreak. Nice shot, if you're trying to kill your only medical personnel, dumb. A handful of civilians and the Army's finest are living in this place like squatters, which feels a bit weird considering they've definitely entered the raid nearby buildings and businesses for supplies phase of the end of days. You couldn't spare a few hours collecting mattresses from the closest mattress store? This place has a whole slew of supply issues, which again is pretty odd considering whoever was in charge picked this place as their scientific research facility, and the military are doing such a bang-up job of taking care of like 25 people that there are rats in their food storage, and they haven't repaired or reinforced their flimsy chain link perimeter fence. You know, the only thing keeping the roving rotters from turning their guts into ceviche. A young girl named Lily's been sick for a while, living in the medical wing while Zoe tries to treat her. Zoe informs Miguel, the lieutenant in charge of the base, along with the other department heads, that Lily has bacterial pneumonia, which is contagious and risks infecting the entire bunker. The antibiotics Zoe gave her have failed, and until they can get her fever under control, Lily remains a threat to the bunker's population, even in quarantine. Unfortunately, despite the sickness that has ravaged the country, Miguel approaches science and medicine like it's some sort of conspiracy. He tells Zoe they ransacked everything of use within their designated range for her rotter experiments. Zoe tells him her old school had a medical vault and she knows the code. He begrudgingly agrees to let her take a team to retrieve it. Apparently, he's never played a survival game, so he has zero understanding of how valuable rare medicines actually are. 2 Humvees roll out the next day, down perfectly paved roads in better condition than most pre-apocalyptic highways. They reach Zoe's old stomping grounds after nightfall. Baca splits their unit up, leaving 3 men back at the trucks while the other 5 enter the building. I'm no military badass, but I'm pretty sure splitting your squad like this is a bad move. With how vicious these rotters are, and at this stage in the apocalypse with how much they've raided, there's probably no threat from other humans stealing your trucks. Leaving 3 men out in the streets is just cutting your unit firepower and survival down. Then again, cramming 8 of these gun-flagging jack to a tight corridor isn't a great idea either. Surprisingly, the 5-man squad scouring the building is actually using a 5-man Y formation, which provides good frontal firepower AOR with high speed and easy quiet communication from Zoe, who knows the building layout and can provide directions, as well as decent rear security. If you're a door kicker, let me know in the comments how you'd run this op. Like something out of 7 Days to Die? Every dark corner and piece of noisy trash on the floor risks drawing the rotters to their location. Reaching the vaults is relatively easy, but on the way back out, it doesn't take long for things to fall apart. Instead of just letting the soldiers stand guard, Zoe drops back and detours into her old offices to grab family photos and a few additional supplies, while the rest of the unit moves on without her, unaware that someone is lurking behind her. An insanely selfish and risky move. You easily could have lost contact with your unit and gotten cut off by zombies, or gotten shot by your own unit that thought you were a rotter in the confusion. She's only carrying a pistol, a far cry from the firepower you'd need to properly defend yourself against undead corpses that feel no pain and only go down with shots to the head, heart, or spine. Zoe runs for the hall and fires through the door, alerting every rotter in the building to their presence. And while the normal undead are bad, few compare to this freak. Unfortunately for humanity, but particularly this squad of soldiers, no one here's graduated top of their class at West Point. As rotters converge on their location, Zoe literally backs into Baca and the rest of the team. Fairly lucky considering they found each other without opening fire. What was Baca even doing? Where was the security? You literally got surprised surprised by Zoe stumbling into you. Open your eyes and ears and watch your area. From a corner someone should have been watching, one of them gets attacked and bitten immediately. Great going, Zoe. Hope your childhood pictures were worth that man's life. The Humvees roll into the bunker yard one man light, or so it seems at first. While Lieutenant Miguel berates Zoe for the death of his soldier, we see a stowaway has infiltrated the facility. Not a bad move for a zombie. With how incompetent these survivors are, you probably don't need to try so hard. I mean, kids are out playing soccer next to a chain link fence holding back zombies. Max rolls off into the woods without a single crack shot soldier spotting him. He scores the first recruit to his new Rotter army before the bunker's doors have even closed. He darts inside unseen and leaps into the Rotter-sized ventilation system. At this point, it's a miracle of witchcraft that this bunker is even still standing. You know what would have made this bunker breach almost impossible? A simple second fence between the yard outside and the bunker, where they could run decontamination checks, checking for bites or hazardous Rotter goo. At minimum, they might have infected blood on their boots they track in. The kids' soccer balls roll through, they pick up the ball, they pick their nose, everyone's dead. Same with checking the vehicles and tires. It's this simple check between the safety of two gates that would have prevented all this ensuing devastation. As we'll see later, the one fence they have only prevents the Rotters from breaking in when it's convenient. A second fence rigged with a simple electrical current, 7 days to die style, would prevent most breaches, including by a zombie with slightly above average intelligence. Now in the ventilation ducts, that smart zombie gains almost omniscient access to the entire facility within a few minutes. He spots Zoe making out with Baca and flares into a rage. A maintenance guy hears his noises and crawls into the vents to check for rats. He'd give Pennywise a run for his money. Not much you can do in a zombie encounter if your first instinct is to freeze, even when you have a hammer in your hand. I mean, I get it. This is brown pants scary. It doesn't take long to wonder where the maintenance guy's gone. His girlfriend comes to check on him. Apparently, the maintenance guy wasn't cool enough to make Max's all-star Rotter draft. Can't say the same for the maintenance guy's girlfriend. Max chases her down the random, endless, and completely deserted corridors of the bunker before slamming her into a locker and dragging her away. This place is massive. Why is everyone sleeping in tents in the garage? Also, 2 words: buddy system. And at least one buddy is carrying a gun. This bunker's been too comfortable for too long. These survivors have grown complacent in their gray concrete and work camp luxuries. The world is crawling with undead cannibals, and people respond to distant screams like employees at a haunted house gig they outgrew 6 years ago. Meanwhile, Max is over here perfecting his ninja teleportation powers. Zoe bolts down the corridor, pressing a panic button in passing. At least this bunker has some sort of alert system, even if it looks like it was last used in the 1950s.
We need to catch him alive.
She tells them he could be the key to a for the Rotter virus. Great, we don't have to kill him. We can chop off his arms and legs to prevent him from even attempting to escape or harm anyone else in this camp. But I guess that'd be too easy. Luckily, this military bunker happens to have a dungeon-style wall chain laying around. No basic cell to hold a prisoner though. Alfonso locks Max in the restraints, then clips the key to his belt. Miguel enters, furious to find an infectious, raging zombie in his facility. I would be too. Build a cage outside in the yard. Put a chain in his mouth like a gag. Lock him in a steel coffin with a hole for his arm so Zoe can draw blood, and bury everything else but the arm in concrete. Instead, Zoe tells them Max is special because he can choose not to bite. Miguel tells her to prove it. This risk was horribly calculated. Just because Max can hesitate doesn't mean he won't suddenly decide to transform you into his undead queen. And developing vaccines can take years. At any point, he can change his mind or get his hands on someone else. That concrete-encased steel coffin just neutralizes the need for any of this. From here, the choices just get real dumb. Like, no thoughts, head empty. When Zoe needs a blood sample, she approaches Max Max like she's role-playing with a creepy paying John.
You like feeling my touch?
And a microscopic scratch on your face gets infected and you turn into a rotter in 5, 4, 3, 2. Alright, I guess not. Zoe tells the team she needs blood samples from other rotters to compare against Max's. To get them, the soldiers stand in a limp semicircle around the perimeter gate outside and let in individual rotters, which they restrain on the ground while Zoe takes samples. Or how about you thin the herd to the number of samples she needs with silent weapons that don't draw attention. Then cut a forearm-sized hole in the fence and extract from each arm as they reach through so you don't have to open the gate at all.
We can't hold it!
I mean, this is just hard to watch. The soldiers lead the horde of zombies straight to the bunker gates. Inside, they realize one of their own has a bite on her arm. Miguel draws his gun and kills her, splattering infected blood all over their only doctor's face. Miguel tells Zoe she has 12 hours until he shoots Max in the head, whether she has the vaccine or not. Of course, since that's not how vaccine development works, he might as well go ahead and kill him now. Two soldiers go down to visit Zoe. When one antagonizes Max, he toys with them, using and scaring them so he can snatch the keys from Alfonso's belt. Let me just go ahead and beat this dead horse with that steel coffin I mentioned. Zoe gets back to work. Wouldn't you know it? With hours to spare, she confirms Max's blood can be used to vaccinate us against the rotter virus. It's a movie miracle. There's just one small problem. Zoe runs in to help, but by the time they return to the lab, Max has disappeared into the labyrinth of hallways down here. A facility alarm is triggered, calling for everyone to assemble in the main indoor garage. You know, to make Max's rotter recruitment program easier. Miguel doubles down by telling everyone not to panic and to just go back to bed. My god, man, this is a bunker. Are you seriously telling me there isn't a safe room in here somewhere you could stash everyone until the threat is handled? Zoe realizes Lily's still down in the med bay and races off by herself to retrieve her. Without a gun, an armed guard, or any means to defend herself. Nearby, Lily wanders out of her hospital room and encounters her mother.
Mom?
So nice of her to wait until now to give in to those insatiable, uncontrollable rotter instincts. Mommy finishes off a soldier and targets her daughter just in time for Max to snap her neck and take Lily hostage. Zoe arrives to discover the rotter virus is about as inconsistent as the logic in your average zombie movie, finding dead soldiers who conveniently remain dead long after the virus's 10-second waiting period is over. Hey, Zoe, since you're going to grab that soldier's gun anyway, why not grab the gun from the second soldier too? No spoilers, but a second secret gun might come in handy a few minutes from now. She finds Max holding Lily by the neck. Zoe tries to bluff him out of hurting the girl by threatening to kill herself, but it only enrages him. She gives up her weapon and Max grabs her, opening the bunker's doors, letting more rotters in. Miguel and his soldiers arrive and start firing, just in time for everyone to watch one of the stupidest character decisions ever put into cinema. Of course, Zoe goes after her, and Max goes after Zoe, leaving the soldiers to be overwhelmed and defeated in a matter of seconds. Never mind that this garage is 2 stories tall and definitely has a safer, higher vantage point from which these guys could be firing down on the zombies. The zombies reach the main civilian area, or as I like to call it, the 99-cent all-you-can-eat dinner buffet. Miguel manages to just get the bunker door shut again when he's swarmed and disemboweled. Baca's attacked, and he makes the terrible decision to reopen the doors so that Zoe and Lily can re-enter. But that might take a minute. Zoe finds Lily by the greenhouses. They try to hide inside, but Max has functional eyes, and their skittish movements make them stand out like walking neon signs. Zoe rigs a quick bait trap for Max, leaving her shirt on a nearby table while she and Lily hide in a giant steaming scent disguising box of compost. So, does that mean you don't need him alive for that vaccine of yours? Back at the bunker, Zoe stops Baca from himself and uses him as the first test subject for her new vaccine. It's a huge success, at least until kissing him later reveals he's still a carrier and turns her into a bloodthirsty nightmare. Ultimately, surviving any zombie apocalypse comes down to a combination of luck and precaution. We can't do much about the rotter plague beginning in the first place, unless the big boy in her morgue was the original and we accidentally contained him before he could spread the virus. Afterward, in the bunker, saving everyone who died comes down to basic vigilance and common sense. If they had immobilized Max but kept him alive in a cage or 95% buried in concrete, or if they had used a better and easier system of retrieving blood samples from the rotters, or if they had implemented a simple decontamination procedure for returning soldiers, or simply remembered their 7 days to die training and rigged a straightforward electric fence, everyone, save the guy in the college hallway, would still be alive. For those reasons, I think Day of the Dead Bloodline was beaten. And remember, if The Walking Dead has taught us anything, it's that zombies don't need most of their vital parts to stay useful.